Welcome elected members, staff, guests and members of the public to the Ordinary Council meeting of the 24th September 2025. I declare this meeting opened at 17:39. The City of Busselton acknowledges the Wardandi and the Bibbulmun people as the traditional custodians of this region and pays its respect to its elders past and present. This meeting is being audio recorded for minute-taking purposes and is also being live streamed on the City of Busselton YouTube channel. I would remind everyone, if you can please set your phones to silent. The prayer this evening will be read by Father Archie Karamapatan from Our Lady of the Southern Cross in Dunsborough. Thank you very much.
Let us remember that we are always in the presence of God. Let us pray. Lord God of energy and life-giving water, fill us with your Spirit so that we too may see the way to come to you, refreshed and transformed. Look kindly, Lord, on this group that trusts in you during this gathering as they discuss and reflect on important issues and matters in the city. Help us to hear the voice of your Spirit and receive your word in faith. Give us true discernment, prudence in judgment, firmness in decision, and wisdom in planning. May diversity of views come together in common goals. May we always act with true concern for both the present and the future, respecting our tradition but attentive to the signs of the time. We ask all this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thank you, Father Archie. In attendance, we have Councillor Anne Ryan, Councillor Lee, Councillor Kay, Councillor Ganesh, Councillor Love, Councillor Cox and Councillor Kennedy, and myself, Mayor Cronin. We now move on to item 5.1, which is responses to previous questions taken on notice. And these are on the screen. Thank you. We now have question time from the public. I've received 3 questions tonight, and I kindly remind those in the attendance that the public question time is for asking question only, and a preamble will not be permitted. First, we have Robert Hodge. If you could say your name and where you're from.
I'm Robert Hodge. I'm a resident of Abba River, and my first 2 questions regard the closure of Princefield Road. So did you say I'm not allowed to do a preamble?
Yeah, because we're currently in election mode, some people, but if you could ask, if it's within your question, that's fine. I think the question makes sense. So.
If council votes not to close Princefield Road, can the decision be overridden by the state government? Question 1.
Thank you. I'm going to throw that to the CEO, but that makes sense.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hodge. If the council, so I was about to read your question again, but I think you've read it already.
So you can
Doral Mining has informed us that the latest update on the proposal to close Princefield Road.
Yep. Sorry, that's the response.
I've done it twice now.
I think we've almost covered it for you.
Yeah, thank you. If the council resolves not to proceed with the closure of Princefield Road, it's possible that Doral may explore avenues to progress its operations. However, the city has not investigated what those avenues might be, as any such processes would fall outside of the city's jurisdiction and control.
Okay, thank you. That's pretty clear what we thought would happen. Question 2, has the city submitted in ongoing negotiations with Dorrell, with the majority of submissions against the closure, an alternative plan to not closing Princefield Road and maintaining public and emergency access?
The city has engaged with Dorrell and awaiting their comments. Once this feedback has been received, we will further engage in options and solutions.
Okay, so there may be a chance we could negotiate a way out of this.
Yeah, that's...
Okay, thank you. And question 3, this goes back to the water issue. Can the city make a submission opposing any more silt-laden discharges into the Sabina and Aber rivers into the Vass Estuary? So what we're sort of asking is, can you make a submission as the City of Busselton that no more discharge points be added to what they're already doing?
Thank you.
Is it possible?
Clarifying that.
Thanks for the question. Through the July 2025 Waterways Management Committee, it was agreed that the Director of Infrastructure and Environment prepare a letter for the signature of the CEO writing to the Department of Water and Environmental Regulations, otherwise known as DWER, expressing public concerns regarding water discharge by Dorrell Yalyalup Mineral Sands Project. The letter will be sent to DWER.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Thank you very much for your questions. Next, I have Mr. Andrew Dickey.
Andrew Dickey, Busselton. My questions are about agenda item 14.1 in this meeting. Question 1, the opening of saltwater was expected to be in May 2025 and the Council voted last year for the CEO to deliver a report detailing the organisational learning from saltwater in September 2025. Question, what is the current estimated date for the opening of saltwater, given that its opening is now well over 2 years overdue?
Thanks for your question. There's currently no scheduled opening date. As you know, I've been here 1 week, and as soon as we have one, we will let both the council and the community know.
Thank you very much. Question 2, the last reported estimate of the construction cost of saltwater was 55.1 million. What is the current total cost of the saltwater project, including contract variations and architectural variations, legal fees, and the costs of City of Busselton staff diverted to the saltwater project?
Thanks for the question. I'll take this question on notice to some extent because the updated figures have not been determined since you last asked the question on the 13th of August, and I'll refer you to those minutes or we can provide that to you. At that time, 41.1 million had been spent against the capital construction of the project, with legal costs sitting at $1.5 million. I would also note that the city staff are not diverted to work on any city project or initiative employed to work towards them. And as soon as I have further update, we'll provide that both to the council and the community.
Thank you very much. Question 3, has the City of Busselton obtained legal advice concerning the withdrawal of over $5 million from the Building Reserve Fund to fund the most recent cost blowout of the saltwater project, when the amended wording of the Building Reserve Fund in place at that time did not allow the withdrawal of reserve funds for a project that is not yet a building asset and is not a non-habitable SLH2 to SLH6 outbuilding?
Response to your question, Mr. Dickey. No, and I understand that the use of the funds from the building reserves has now been properly resolved in this year's 2025-26 budget.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dickey. Next, we have a question from Howard George.
Howard George, Busselton. My question is regarding Phoebe Abbey's house on Seymour Street, built 1860. Has any agreement been reached between the city and the developer on Phoebe Abbey's house site as to the future, or if it can be incorporated in any future development? The reason for the question was, I noticed back in 2016...
Thank
Paul-
you, thank you. We do have the question. I'm not allowing preambles, so do we have an answer first? And if not, I'll ask for clarification if that's okay, Mr Howard. Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Mr George. No agreement has been reached to date.
Well,
Yeah, sorry, Mr George. If you're more than welcome to come along and talk to us at the cash sessions. If I just can't enter into debate on this item, so we'll accept your question as was. And but if you wish to ask further, then please feel free to reach out to me.
well, the way the developer handles the peppermint trees on the site, I'd say
Okay,
if the
thank
city has any intentions of saving it,
Sure.
in order to get it, rattle its tags and get on with it.
Please send me an email.
Thank
and
you.
I'll deal with that. Thank you very much. Okay, are there any other members of the public that would like to ask a question? Mr Sims, please come forward.
Good evening, councillors and officers. Keith Sims, Busselton. I have two questions regarding salt water. The first one, which is to do with the confidential item for the meeting 19th of June 24, in the KMPG review, it said that a valuation of the salt water had been asked for. What was that valuation?
Mr Sear.
I'm sorry, Mr Sims. I understand your question. I cannot give you an answer off the top, so I'll take the question on notice and we will respond to it.
Thank you. I have to rephrase my question now because of no preambles. But because last full meeting, council resolved not to apologise to the community, what wasn't mentioned was that 64% of the community didn't want it, and the cost is now
What is your question? What is your question, please?
Well, it's now $66 million, so why can't you apologise?
Right.
I'll have to take that question on notice, but the answer I read a moment or two ago, which was the latest information of August this year, Mr Sims, that number does not equate to the figure you mentioned, but we'll respond to you.
Can I give you a
Thank
quick
you.
tell
Thank
you
you.
how
I'm
it
not.
is there?
No, just
'Cause
we've
it
answered
is
the question.
66.
We've answered the question. Thank you. Are there any further questions? Ms Shackleton, do you wish to answer?
Thank you and good evening. My first question is, considering that the World Theatre has been forced out of its venue and has undoubtedly lost members
What is your
and
question,
essential
please?
income for the future...
Sorry, Ms Shackleton, please.
Well, I'm
ask the
asking,
question.
there's three parts to the question.
Yeah, so just ask the question, please.
I am. The World Theatre Group has lost its venue, lost members and essential income.
This
and
is
now
a
they've been
statement
asked
you're making. Please,
to throw away
can you please ask the question, please?
what has been offered to them in way of compensation. It was a very specific question,
Thank
actually.
you. Thank you. Director Palmer.
Thank you. We've worked closely with the World Theatre, the Repertory Club that operate in the World Theatre, and we have arrangements in place with them to provide them support for storage. We've worked with them on the redesign of their back of house. I'm not sure who
No
you're
money?
representing, but we have a very close relationship with the Repertory
That wasn't
Club.
my question, it was a figure. Has any money been put aside to help them re-establish and to reimburse them for things they've had to throw out and also for the loss
All right.
of menu?
No, because they
money?
haven't requested any money.
Okay.
I've spoken with the President and he's never raised this as an
Yeah, he's
issue.
the next councillor, isn't he? Given that the city...
Sorry, no, please.
Given that the city failed to establish a photographic record and condition report for the Art Geo building before giving it to Broad to use, has the city determined the cost of restoration? And if so, what is that figure, please?
Director Palmer.
I will take that on notice, but I believe, but I will check, that Broad are required to return the building to the condition in which they entered it as part of the arrangement, but I will
No
confirm
condition
that.
report or photos.
Pardon?
With no condition report
The
or
question
photos.
is, was there any photos taken?
Oh, yes.
That's
were
already been
taken.
Yes,
established.
yes,
were
we had to
taken.
do a structural assessment of both those heritage buildings prior to any construction works taking
Okay,
place.
I asked a question once before and was told
Sorry,
no.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much for that. Third question, is there an avenue in the city's policies for residents and the current election candidates in particular to protect themselves from slanderous comments by city staff which are published online?
Mr. Sia.
Any matters relating to the election need to be referred to the West Australian Electoral Commission.
But nothing specifically
Sorry. Thank you.
to
That
do
was
with
the
the city?
answer. That was
No?
the answer.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any further questions? Ms Walsh.
Jill Walsh, Busselton. Is it possible, under the city's code of conduct, to stop a City of Busselton staff member from posting false and defamatory comments on social media without having to go through the usual lengthy bureaucratic complaints process, because this is affecting up to 6 councillors right now, and I do have copies of it.
Thank you. Mr. Sia.
As I said in the last question, I'm sorry I didn't catch your...
Jill.
Jill Walsh.
Ms Walsh. Sorry, I can't call you Jill. In relation to the questions, the matter should firstly be referred to the West Australian Electoral Commission. If you leave a copy of your complaint with me, I will see whether there's any code of conduct breach, but matters pertaining to the election need to go to the West Australian Electoral Commission.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, can I leave the
Thank you.
comments with you?
You can, yes,
Please.
we'll leave them with an officer. Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have a couple of minutes left of question time. Are there any more? Nicole, Ms Davies.
Hello, I'm Nicole Davies from Dunsborough. I was just wanting to know, does the city have a process to capture concerns raised in public question time into its complaint system and continuous improvement framework as per Ombudsman's WA and in line with best practice ISO guidelines? So issues raised by the community are not only fed back to them, but the whole community, and they are not lost as or risk assessed.
Thank you. Ms Sia.
In relation to the response to your question, as you know, the response to any questions are, one, recorded in the minutes, and secondly, if the person's not here or they're not able to be dealt with in question time, then a written response is provided to that individual and later incorporated into the minutes. So it is available for people to see.
No, I was wondering
you.
about, is it to go into your complaint system improvement process? That was my question.
Oh, sorry. What I can say, as for me, as the CEO, those issues are identified and there are conversations about why that question's being raised, what the response was, and whether there's an issue with our operations.
Okay, and is that then fed back? Like, what's the mechanism to feed that back?
Sorry, I appreciate your time, Ms Davies, but you could, if it's a complicated question, help maybe send it in.
I will. I'm sorry, I did mean to send it in time. It got away with me yesterday.
Or you can come along to CAS and talk to us about it. But yes,
Okay.
Thank you. I'm just not allowing a debate afterwards.
Fair enough.
so
No, I'm
thank
not having
you.
a debate.
Cheers.
Thanks.
We're just out of time now. Sorry.
There's no preamble about the actual item for tonight for lot 6. Very quick.
Thank you, Miss. I will. All right. Thank you. I'll believe it to be 30 seconds.
It was just about item tonight with lot 6. I was just wondering whether or not the City of Busselton and its councillors have sought legal advice about voting on this item tonight, considering we're having to rezone during an election or during a, what's it called, a caretaker period.
So the question being, is it a complex or a standard? So
That wasn't my question. I asked you whether or not you sought legal advice in regards to voting on the issue. Just clarifying my question. Yeah.
Thank you for the question. I didn't catch your name.
It's Mariah Goria.
Thank you. We did take legal advice on whether we are following the appropriate arrangements, and the answer from that independent legal advice, as well as our internal legal advice, is competent for the council to deal with this matter tonight.
And is it possible for us to have a copy of that legal advice?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we've expired the time for question time. I will now move on to presentations by parties with an interest, and we have Lee Bingman, who will be just talking on item 12.1. Welcome, Ms. Bingham. You have 5 minutes.
Good evening. Mayor Cronin and councillors, thank you for granting me the opportunity to address you. As someone directly affected by the proposed structure plan for Lot 6, Commonage Row, I say to council members and officers of the City of Busselton, thank you. To Mayor Cronin, councillors and planners who took the time to come out and see for themselves just how the structure plan would impact the amenity of my rural property and the necessity for a minimum of a 20-metre boundary setback with no pour. And having due regard for my concerns and the many public and government agency submissions relating to this site, and also sympathetically responding, as you have, to all these concerns by the modifications you have proposed to the plan. For Dunsborough and its surrounds, indeed the whole Lewin naturalist region, the need for development must always be balanced with other considerations, including the protection of the visual character of the area. I think your modifications in the circumstances address that balance, and that they will, if finally approved by the Commission, achieve a more site-responsive development outcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We now have deputations, which is allowed 10 minutes. We have Fraser McInnes from Urban Quarter, and he will be talking on the item 12.1, Lot 6, Commonage Road, Structure Plan and Scheme Amendment.
Good evening, Mayor, councillors and City of Busselton staff. I'll be making this deputation on behalf of the proponent of Lot 6 Commonage Road to speak in support of the proposed scheme amendment to rezone the land from light industry to urban and the local structure plan to progress to the DPLH for determination. However, I would like to state the proponent's stance on some key items suggested for modification to be taken on board for consideration by the councillors. Following the public advertising and reviewing the City of Busselton officer's recommendation and the alternative motion put forward by Councillor Cox, the proponent has considered the feedback received and would like to highlight some of these items. Regarding the connectivity to Dunsborough East expansion area, the proponent is supportive of providing an east-west connection road to link to the Dunsborough East expansion area. The exact location of the connection will be determined collaboratively with the adjoining landowners and the city in due course as both plans progress in design. Currently noting that the Dunsborough East expansion area plan denotes an access street connecting into Lot 6, not a distributor road. The proponent does not support the inclusion of a roundabout at the intersection of Biddle Road and Commonage Road. The projected traffic volumes from Lot 6 and the Dunsborough East expansion area do not warrant the requirement for one, and importantly, the city's draft roundabout geometry would not accommodate the vehicle movements of the vehicles this road carries, given its road classification. Furthermore, this roundabout would portray a key urban infrastructure element along Commonage Road Tourist Drive, and on previous community sentiment would detract from Commonage Road, having a sympathetic tourist feel due to the proposed 60-metre roundabout the councillor recommendation supports. This roundabout and distributor road through Lot 6 would result in poor environmental outcome due to the increased clearing on good classification vegetation on Lot 6 due to the location and nature of the roundabout and distributor road. Following the alternative concept plan that has been presented to councillors, which denotes a connection to Dunsborough East, with the existing Lot 6 intersections to Commonage Road remaining as is. The proponent has undertaken a traffic analysis which has accounted for the connection to Dunsborough East and the increased traffic volumes this would incur. The existing intersection designs from Lot 6 to Commonage Road can handle the increased traffic volumes, allowing for the connection to Dunsborough East, and have been stress tested. Hence, further reinforcing there is no requirement for a distributor road through Lot 6 or a roundabout. The alternative concept plan annotates a roundabout on the neighbourhood connector road within Lot 6, which runs north-south. If traffic users would like to access Biddle Road via Lot 6, they will be promoted to use the northern intersection of Lot 6 through the local centre onto Commonage Road. The proponent also strongly opposes the councillor's alternative motion for a 30-metre landscape buffer along Commonage Road and Genoli Road. The proposed minimum 20-metre buffer can provide ample visual screening from Commonage Road, as well as deal with drainage requirements from site. There is already 30% public open space within Lot 6. This will allow for ample drainage provisions, as well as provide adequate screening behind a minimum 20-metre landscape buffer. It has been communicated that Genoli Road is planned to be a future public access way, and the current design response is sympathetic to having green space situated adjacent to it. Despite there being no buffer requirement, yet the proponent has provided a green interface as a receptive design measure on our own accord. The proponent deems the request for the removal of the R10 lots is unnecessary. The R10 lots are proposed to be located in a cleared area which allows for minimal environmental impact behind a visual landscape buffer. The design of these lots and the development footprint comply with bushfire regulations, and there is no reasoning from an environmental planning or bushfire point of view which supports removal of this cell. Regarding having the removal of additional uses associated with the environmental conservation zone, we believe having this removed would be at the detriment of the community, with a high-level vision to provide an amenity offering to Lot 6 and Dunsborough East, as well as other visitors to the area. Having the additional use of a restaurant, cafe and tavern removed would be at the community's amenity expense. In relation to the group housing site, we believe significant existing vegetation can and should be retained. The proponent has actively already undertaken ground truthing with bushfire, landscaping, engineering and planning consultants, and a detailed survey to inform the design, with layouts adjusted to protect mature trees. Design work has been developed to incorporate vegetation within the group housing site into community open space, ensuring its long-term protection. A planning mechanism such as a local development plan can provide an additional safeguard of vegetation. We note the request of a 20-metre buffer to the adjoining rural land. However, we believe a 10-metre public access way is appropriate for Lot 339, as this has been approved by the City of Busselton in the existing Dunsborough Lakes as an effective interface with rural residential land. The owners of Lot 7 have vested interest in Lot 6 and are in favour of having the interface between Lot 6 and Lot 7 not requiring a vegetation buffer. Almost done. Lot 6 presents a logical, sustainable urban rezoning opportunity that will deliver housing choice, communal connectivity, environmental protection, and help ease the land supply pressure for the southwest and specifically Dunsborough region. The proposal addresses community and agency feedback, provides workable traffic and boundary solutions, and demonstrates a genuine commitment to retaining key vegetation. If the points suggested can be taken into account and considered whilst progressing the scheme amendment and local structure plan to state planning level, that would be greatly appreciated from the proponent's point of view. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much. Next, we have deputation from Dane Gaunt from Rise Urban, again on item 12.1, Lot 6, Commonage Road.
Thank you, Mayor, councillors and staff, for the opportunity to address council on behalf of the Dunsborough East landowners. So, as you said, my name is Dane Gaunt from Rise Urban, and I represent the owners of Lot 22, Lot 726 and Lot 3 in the Dunsborough East precinct adjacent to Lot 6 Commonage Road. We have been actively engaged in the process and appreciate the careful analysis that have brought this matter to Council today. The housing situation in Dunsborough has reached a critical point. Since Council initiated this process in May, the median house price has risen from 1.165 million to 1.2 million, a 3% increase in just 4 months. This means families are being priced out, essential workers can't secure homes, and local businesses are struggling to recruit. Housing affordability is now a direct threat to Dunsborough's social fabric and economy. Lot 6, alongside the Dunsborough East area, represents a generational opportunity to meet this challenge. Both areas have been consistently identified in state and regional frameworks as suitable for urban expansion, and progressing them now is essential to addressing housing supply. This is about creating well-planned neighbourhoods that respect the natural environment and Dunsborough's unique character while still accommodating growth. Notwithstanding our general support, I would like to express concern that despite our detailed submission during the advertising period, it appears the City has not formally considered it, and our submission has been excluded from the schedule of submissions. As the planners for adjoining landowners who invested in detailed analysis, this omission means that valuable information has not been considered. Regardless whether officers or councillors agree with our position, our submission deserves the same procedural fairness as all others. I've emailed elected members a copy of our submission, and I respectfully request that Council acknowledge it and give it due weight when considering this item. Our intention has always been to collaborate constructively, and it's critical that our insights inform infrastructure, planning and community outcomes for both Lot 6 and Dunsborough East. The development of Lot 6 for residential purposes is supported, as I mentioned. However, the removal of light industrial zoning should not be justified by assumptions that demand for industrial land can simply be redirected to Dunsborough East. Lot 6 has remained undeveloped for industrial purposes for 20 years due to a lack of market demand and persistent constraints, including a major creek line flowing into Toby Inlet, poor transportation connectivity and proximity to residential areas. These same limitations, environmental sensitivity, inadequate access and land use conflicts, also apply to Dunsborough East, making it no more suitable for industrial development than Lot 6. The officer's report notes that the local planning strategy has long identified Dunsborough East as a more appropriate location due to proximity to the town centre, consolidation with Enterprise Park and access to the future vast Dunsborough link. In fact, the strategy explicitly states that land should be investigated for urban expansion and the associated relocation of the light industrial area to a more suitable location as part of the planned Dunsborough investigation area and the Dunsborough town site strategy, with consideration for rezoning upon completion of planning investigation area requirements. This confirms that zoning changes must occur through a structured, evidence-based process that considers urban expansion, infrastructure, environmental impacts and actual demand, not assumptions for or ad hoc relocation between equally constrained sites. Zoning decisions should be based on robust strategic analysis. If the City identifies a need for additional employment land, this should be considered through the appropriate strategic planning processes. That process must assess regional demand, the availability of undeveloped zoned land at VAS and other centres, compatibility with surrounding uses and environmental constraints. The decisions made for Lot 6 will set the framework for the wider precinct for decades to come. That is why coordination between landowners, the City and the Lot 6 proponents is essential. We are committed to working constructively with all parties to ensure infrastructure, roads, utilities and community facilities are delivered in a safe, efficient and integrated way. Our group has already invested in technical studies and feasibility work, and I look forward to presenting this to the Council in due course. As planners for the adjoining precinct, we have a direct interest in ensuring that planning processes are equitable. Infrastructure costs and development requirements should be applied consistently across the precinct so that no single landowner or the broader community carries an unfair burden. The current development contribution plan reflects Lot 6's legacy industrial zoning and does not capture the real demands of residential development. This creates an equity problem.
Residential development generates significantly higher demand for community facilities such as libraries, recreation spaces and community centres than industrial land. Unless updated, the existing DCP risks shifting costs onto other developers or the wider community. In that regard, we support the officer's recommendation for a voluntary legal agreement based on Dunsborough Lakes DCA 5 as an interim measure, but we also urge Council to commit to and expedite a comprehensive DCP review that ensures all infrastructure is properly identified and costed, contribution rates reflect actual residential impacts, not outdated industrial assumptions, and costs are apportioned transparently and proportionally across all growth areas. And finally, that fair cost sharing arrangements are enforceable. In closing, we respectfully request that the Council approve the Lot 6 Structure Plan and Scheme Amendment as a crucial step in addressing the housing crisis, acknowledging that some matters identified in our submission have not been fully addressed. We also ask that Council continue to uphold transparent, evidence-based planning processes that allow all stakeholders to work constructively towards sustainable growth. The Dunsborough East landowners reaffirm their commitment to collaboration and to creating well-planned communities that meet both today's housing needs and aspirations. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Cook. We'll now move on to item 7, which is questions by members of which due notice has been given, and I've received notice of questions from Councillor Kate Cox. Councillor Cox, do you wish to ask your questions?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Do you wish me to stand?
Don't think we need to stand. No, that's fine.
Question 1, this is to the CEO. When candidates nominate for local government elections, do they commit to abiding by the City of Busselton Code of Conduct for council members, committee members and candidates?
Thank you for the question. The response is candidates are required to observe the Code of Conduct adopted by the City.
Question 2, could social media posts made on Facebook by candidates after they have nominated for council elections, making disparaging remarks about the City, current elected members by name and other candidates be considered to be a breach of the Code of Conduct?
Thank you. In response to that question, the answer is yes, it is possible that social media posts made on Facebook by candidates could be a breach of the Code of Conduct. However, it would depend upon the relevant facts and circumstances. For example, Clause 9.1 of the Code states that a candidate must ensure their use of social media and other forms of communication complies with the Code, and they must only publish material that is factually correct. Other examples of potential behaviour breaches include using offensive or derogatory language when referring to another person and disparaging the character of another council member, committee member or candidate or local government employee in connection with the performance of their official duties.
Thank you. Question 3, if yes, what could be an appropriate course of action to ensure that local government candidates were complying with the Code of Conduct during the election period?
The response to this question, a person may make a complaint alleging a breach of the code to the City's complaints officer. A complaint about an alleged breach by a candidate cannot be dealt with unless the candidate has been elected as a council member.
Thank you, Mr. CEO.
Thank you, Councillor Cox. Move on to item 8.1, that the minutes of the ordinary council meeting held on the 10th September 2025 be confirmed as a true and correct record. Do I have a mover? Moved, Councillor Kennedy. Is there a seconder? Councillor Craig. Is there any opposition? Being no opposition, I put the motion. All those in favour? Carried 8-0. We now move on to items brought forward and adoption and exception resolution, that the committee recommendations for item 11.1 and 11.2 and the officer's recommendations for items 16.1 be adopted en bloc. Do I have a mover? Moved, Councillor McNeish, seconded Councillor Craig. Is there any opposition? Being no opposition, I put the motion. All those in favour? Motion carried 8-0. Now move on to item 12.1, and we have the foreshadowed alternate. and this is on Lot 6, Commonage Road Structure Plan and Scheme Amendment. Councillor Kate Cox, do you wish to move your motion, your alternate?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I would like to move as written.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Seconded, Councillor Love. Is there any opposition? There is opposition. So therefore, Councillor Cox, do you wish to speak to your motion?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I would firstly like to commend the officers when considering this proposal to rezone and approve the structure plan for Lot 6 Commonage Road for acknowledging that the structure plan has not adequately responded to the constraints of the site, in particular the environmental values, and subsequently applying further modifications to assist in preserving these environmental values. It is also imperative that this structure plan reflects the values of the local community and provides a progressive and environmentally sensitive approach to the development of this site, as opposed to yet another generic iteration of Dunsborough Lakes. After reading the public submissions, there were a few for, maybe around 10 or so, and many more against, maybe between 50 and 70. They were all very comprehensive submissions. I am proposing some further additional modifications in response to the comments I noted in these submissions. My aim in proposing these additional modifications is to 1. Widen landscape buffers from a greater than 20 metre to greater than 30 metre width to better accommodate the dual purpose of providing a landscape buffer and stormwater drainage. This will also improve visual amenity. 2, remove the additional use right for a restaurant, cafe, small bar and tavern from the southeast portion of the conservation zone, as these land uses are considered to be an X-use in this zoning in Local Planning Scheme 21 and Draft Town Planning Scheme 22. Subsequently, the land uses listed above, or that I've just outlined, are not considered to be appropriate in this location. Any development in this area risks the removal of significant mature trees and has been identified as high-quality foraging habitat for 3 black cockatoo species. And I know the staff have identified in their modifications that they will request the developer not to remove any mature vegetation. However, I think it would be safer to say if we remove this use, then this will be undertaken more diligently. Number 3, remove the R10 lots along Commonage Road, which will effectively mitigate bushfire risk, retain a greater amount of remnant vegetation and enhance environmental protection. It will also allow for the realignment of the east-west distributor road, which will be needed to lead into the new roundabout at the intersection of Biddle and Commonage Roads, which will ultimately improve traffic flow, particularly in the future with the development of Dunsborough East. With a redesign of the road to include a roundabout, in my opinion, it will just not be feasible from an engineering perspective to retain the 2 R10 lots. And finally, removing these R10 lots also alleviates the risk of 2 additional driveways with direct access onto Commonage Road on a blind corner. If the aim of the developer is to deliver an environmentally responsible development that responds to the values and aspirations of the community, then you would think that they would happily concede these 2 lots. Number 4, remove the public access way along the boundary of Lot 7, as it's effectively a track to nowhere, and provide a 20-metre buffer between the R10 lots and the conservation area adjacent to the boundary of Lot 7, to respect and protect the privacy, amenity and environmental value of the adjoining rural property, and improve the interface between the proposed urban development area and the current rural zone. I note with interest that a few of the supporting submissions, most were focused on the provision of affordable housing for young families in the anticipation of a mix of housing types. Affordable in this area, I would question mixed housing types, so let's wait and see, but it still looks like a pretty standard offering of a majority of R20, R30 lots, with a couple of R10s. A common theme running through the opposing submissions is that council's responsible for adding considerable additional development to Dunsborough and that we are keen to add as many residential homes as possible to gain additional rates. And again, councillors, I will reiterate to ourselves and to the community that it is a mandate of the state government to increase housing supply throughout WA that is driving the boom in development. I was somehow heartened to read in the officer's report the following SAT decision, Hutchings and the AMR, Augusta Margaret River Shire 2023. In terms of evaluating planning outcomes, it is entirely plausible that a series of individual decisions to allow native vegetation to be removed, each of which is considered to be rational and justifiable in its own terms, can produce a suboptimal outcome. A parcel-by-parcel approach, as opposed to a more holistic approach to land use planning, invites serious environmental consequences once the cumulative impact becomes apparent. Proposals to clear native vegetation on a parcel-by-parcel basis without regard to cumulative consequences risks being labelled as little more than managed environmental decline.
Time.
I've got one sentence to go, if I may, Mr Mayor. At some point, managed environmental decline ultimately becomes irreversible environmental damage. And it is to that extent that I would just like to propose these few additional modifications to the modifications already proposed by the staff, and I would urge councillors to support my alternative. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cox. Councillor Love, do you wish to?
Yes, I would. Councillor Cox did cover a lot of what I was going to touch on, but elected members, the reason I urge you to support this motion is that there is a clear need to ensure our environmental protections within our local planning scheme are abided by and not eroded. I'll explain why. First, the conservation zone, as Councillor Cox alluded to. The Aber vegetation complex is already extremely vulnerable, with only just 6.64% remaining from its pre-European extent. National biodiversity targets say anything under 30% must be protected, so this site is critical. The applicant points to a 0.17% loss, but as the SAT that Councillor Cox alluded and spoke about has made clear, it's the cumulative impact that matters. Approving small clearings here and there adds to managed environmental decline, and once decline becomes irreversible, no offset can fix it. That's not a legacy we should leave. Second, our planning scheme, our planning strategy. Theme 4 is about protecting fauna habitat, waterways, wetlands and cultural heritage. The southern eastern corner of this lot is good quality vegetation, foraging habitat for all three black cockatoo species and western ringtail possums. These are nationally significant species. Allowing a land use that is already listed as an X use in the conservation zone directly undermines our own planning framework. Third, suitability of the additional use. Additional uses should only be approved if they are appropriate and capable of approval. In this case, there's no clear detail on how much vegetation would be removed, what the impacts on cockatoos and possums would be, and what extra clearing is needed for bushfire compliance. Granting an additional use now would be illogical when the basic tests for suitability aren't even met. And while the applicant's vision for a low-key cafe or bar within an already cleared area may have some merit, this is not what is proposed here. What is before us is an additional use right for restaurant, cafe and tavern within a conservation zone where approval would likely necessitate vegetation removal. Granting that right would set a dangerous precedent, eroding the integrity of the conservation zone, weakening our local planning strategy and contributing to the very managed decline of our environment that the Tribunal has warned against. Fourth, the western R10 cells. These cells along the western boundary raise interconnected issues: bushfire safety, visual amenity, environmental protection and road network design. To meet BAL ratings, lots would likely push further into good quality vegetation. The 20-metre landscape buffer is already consumed by drainage, which doesn't meet the intent of the SP 31, which I believe, I've lost my notes for that. I think it was, a bigger buffer means pushing even further east into remnant bush. The sewage policy requires larger lots in this location due to proximity to waterways. As proposed, they wouldn't comply. And critically, the northwestern cell needs to be redesigned to allow an east-west distributor road into the new roundabout at Commonage and Biddle that the officers have proposed needs to go there. Removing these R10 cells solves all of those issues, improves safety, protects the environment, enhances amenity and allows the road network to function properly. In summary, we are faced with two fundamental choices. Either uphold the intent of the conservation zone and our local planning strategy by removing inappropriate additional uses and redesigning flawed R10 cells, or approve land uses and densities that will irreversibly compromise bushfire safety, environmental values and the visual character of this area. The right choice is clear. For those reasons, I urge Council to remove the additional use right for the restaurant, cafe and tavern and remove the Western R10 cells and support Councillor Cox's alternative amendment as written. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Love. Excellent timing. Speaker against. Councillor McNeish.
Thank you, sir. I'm speaking against the wording as currently put, in particular item 4A2 referring to amendment number, alteration number 6 and the additional use right.
Sorry, 4A.
I'm looking at the alternative recommendation from Councillor Cox, which I might add is very good, and I'm supportive of in the rest of it, and I'll make some comment in support of such, but as it's currently worded, I speak against because I want to amend it to remove Councillor Cox's proposed removal of that additional use right for the restaurant, cafe and tavern.
Just confirming, I've got on my notes 4.1 and we've got 4A. Can I just...
sorry?
It is 4A. If we can change that, that's all. Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, so generally...
On the screen, that's...
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry.
Generally, well done. And very impressed with all the councillors' input into this very important matter. As one of our presenters said before, what was it I'm quoting, perhaps a little inaccurately, the decisions made on Lot 6 will define that local community and others for decades to come. So this is really important stuff, and we need to be looking to the future, and I think the particular matter that came out strongly in the briefing session today was the need for that east-west distributor coming through the southern portion of this structured planning, linking into the Vass-Dunsborough link in future, alleviating pressure on the Elmore roundabout, and generally facilitating a safer through flow of traffic for indeed decades to come. So, having said all that, and in support of what I'm reading here from Councillor Cox and attending the Dunsborough Country Club presentation night, and thanks to the developers for doing that on the night, I think everything encapsulated in this alternative is supportive of where those people were coming from. But I do think that this goes a touch too far to remove the proposed additional use right for the family tavern area when, importantly, when controls, appropriate clearing controls exist and were confirmed by Director Barber this afternoon that they can be managed effectively when and if any development on that lot is going to be proposed when a development application is submitted. So happy with that protection. I then propose an amendment that the part of the proposed removal of the additional use right be removed from this proposal.
Thank you.
I note the governance commentary. It is such, I think it's a small altercation, what's the word? Alteration. Sorry, it's been a long flight from London. Small alteration to make and would qualify as an amendment because I really don't want to speak against the fine alternative that we have. Thank you.
I'll thank you for that. Before you, I won't stop your time. I'll just pause your time because if you're going to put an amendment, sorry, but I will just
to be clear,
if
yes.
I may see.
If it isn't an amendment. It is.
I don't know if you heard what the CEO said, but he was saying that, look, it could be substantive. What he's saying is let this debate go through, and should this not get through, then it could be put up as an alternate.
Yes, understood. Thank you.
John, thank you. So I'll accept that you will be putting that as an alternate. Should this.
Yes, I will.
Yeah,
and in the final minute then.
Go on.
Because I might not get another
I did
chance.
allow that.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate that Councillor Cox has picked up on the need for a roundabout, and for the purpose of, I guess, the public, we don't have yet any definitive traffic volume projections for traffic flow for the next decade or more through this development, either from Caves Road or from Avast to Dunsborough Link. And we have to make decisions now that will last for decades to come. So we cannot realistically think that this won't be a problem going forward. Main Roads have told us this is a problem already, and it doesn't have any solution to the problem. So it comes down to us to foresee what could be a potential solution, and that has been suggested by the officers. So given the requirement for the roundabout, we need to maximise its design. That will take some area, and that will impact on the R10 lots that need to be probably removed.
Thank you, Councillor McNeish. Do I have a speaker for? Speaker against? Councillor Lee.
Thank you. Councillor Cox, thank you for your shadow alternative, which mostly I support along the lines with Councillor McNeish. We want to be building strong communities, and part of that is ensuring that residents have amenity to meet and gather in social occasions. We have been advised today by Director Barber, as Councillor McNeish stated, that the tourism component can be managed. There are controls to manage a food and beverage offering. We also know that there are some great examples of how this has happened, managing the environment as well as including this offering for local residents. And I draw your attention to Southwest Bodega on Rendezvous Road in Vass, and also Lentadale Winery, that incorporate their food and beverage offering within the environment. So people get to sit amongst the bush, amongst the wildlife, amongst the flora and fauna, and be able to eat and talk with other residents nearby without having to travel in cars and have the issue of people drinking and then driving. I would be supportive of Councillor McNeish's alternative if that goes through. I just did also want to comment on Councillor Cox's point of, 26, to remove the 6 metre public access way along the interface with lot 339 Commonage Road. Having been out to that property, the owners have taken such great care to manage the natural water levels that come and go. They've witnessed it for many, many years and managed their property and the water flow. So my concern is that if there is a smaller buffer, then how is that going to impact the natural water table that is already flowing underneath that without the controls that the current owners have dedicated their life to by conserving what's happening with the water tables there? So I would support, again, that 6 metre public access way be removed and a 20 metre buffer put alongside that boundary. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lee. Speaker 4. Point of clarification, if I may. When we looked at the map, we've got this little blue area in the top right-hand corner. Could that be a cafe, bar, restaurant?
Yes.
It could be.
That would be an approval use in that zone.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Speaker against? Councillor Ryan?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'm not speaking against to just agree with Councillor McNish's change. I think concession for a concession, and there are quite a few concessions in here. There's a number of other items that I'm more than happy to let go through to the keeper in an effort to let this go through. I'd just like to move a minor amendment, if I may, and it's 1A, just tightening up that particular clause with the words amending Schedule 3 Special Provision Area 31 and adding in subject to the modifications
So this is
proposed
I've got that
in
as
the
B.
schedule of modifications.
You're saying 1B?
1B?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, you said 1A. So.
Adding in after Area 31, the words subject to the modifications proposed in the schedule of modifications.
We'll just see that when it's on the screen. If you can pause the timer quickly. Point of clarification, sorry.
Yeah, just a point. Doesn't it state that in point 4 pursuant to part 4 adopts blah, blah, blah under the schedule of modification?
This is a special provision, so.
Director Barber, does that make sense?
Sorry, Councillor Cox. Director Barber?
Yeah, through you, Mr Mayor. I think in the rewording of the alternative, so the Part 4 modifications, the schedule of modifications in the structure plan, I think what Councillor Ryan is suggesting, there was some modifications to the actual scheme amendment that hasn't carried through, so it would need to be added into that, as Councillor Ryan suggested.
So you're happy with that wording? Thank you.
And then the word "and" on the end, Liam.
Okay. So we have a amendment from Councillor Ryan that the council add the following words to the end of point 1B, subject to the modifications. You had to remove it then, didn't you? Proposed in the schedule of.
In the schedule of proposed in the schedule of modifications. Yep.
Okay. Is everybody clear on that? I have seconder, Councillor McNeish. Therefore, is there opposition to that? Being no opposition, I put the motion. All those in favour? Okay, that's carried 8-0. The substantive motion is now in front of you with that amendment. Councillor Ryan, you still have 3 minutes and 45 seconds.
Oh, just basically, I live in Vass and I wish we had a little tavern in Vass because nobody seems to want to take up that proposition as well. It is quite amazing to be able to walk from home and go and have a few glasses of wine and then stagger home if you need to afterwards. But otherwise, I think, as I say, it's a concession for a concession, and I think it would be a good concession. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Speaker for? Speaker against? I'm actually going to speak against, but only because I'm having thought about it, and if the controls are in place, I will probably be saying that to go with Councillor McNeish's alternate. I think it's right. I used to live down in Margaret River, and we had a place called Brookfield, and they've now put a little bar there, and it really does make a nice little community place, and also safer for people not to be on the roads with alcohol. So I would be urging councillors also to go for that one. Thank you. And another speaker against or for? Speaker for?
I'm against.
Again, you can speak. There's lots of people against. Thank you.
Great, thank you. So yes, well done, Councillor Cox, for bringing this forward. I just want to put into context that this needs to go to the WAPC, and we already have a host of modifications done. So I'm a bit weary of going to concessions between elected members. So ultimately, I would like to foreshadow that we keep everything here. Oh, sorry, we just keep point number 5, which is 4B. If you go to the next page, which is remove the western section of R10 cells. So that would be my foreshadowed. Everything else I'm speaking against and proposing to remove. So if we look at the first point, which is 4AI in the alternative, I believe it isn't necessary because the modifications from the officers state that we need a vegetative buffer and water management. So we're going to get that anyway. There is no need to make that 30 metres. So I'm mindful if we push that forward to the WAPC, they might not be as responsive. So that's why I would like to remove that. Then I'm also not supportive of the 4A2. So we've already spoken, Councillor McNish has spoken to that, why that wouldn't be, so I'm not going to go on any more, other than to ensure councillors that there will be no clearing done. That's said in the modifications, so vegetation-wise, it's all good. Then points 4B, 11 and 26, again, they're just referring to that 30-metre buffer, which is already covered. You know, we're going to achieve a buffer and water management, so again, no need for that. And the last one, number 27, I'm speaking against that one too, because we didn't have the owner is supportive, the lot to the south, they are supportive of what's been proposed. So there's a 10-metre buffer on that rural lot, which is inclusive of the road reserve. And because they're supportive of it and it provides that southern lot owner extra opportunities in the future, I don't think that it's needed here. This one doesn't, so we still have the 20-metre buffer to Lee, the lady, the lady, yes, who spoke before. So we don't need to worry about that concern. So ultimately, I would be foreshadowing another alternative that essentially says to remove the R10 western cells.
So to keep them, not remove them. To remove the
oh yes,
amendment.
yes, yeah.
Yeah,
if
move
that
the amendment
makes sense.
and allow them. Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
and I'm sure we'll tidy that up then. So thank you
Sure.
for listening, councillors.
Thank you. A speaker 4. I think we've exhausted everybody now. Okay. Councillor Cox, your right of reply.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In my opinion, and I think from some of the submissions I read, the restaurant, cafe and tavern is actually better located in the local centre, which is adjacent to Genoli Road. So therefore you can still have the connection of the community. It's just not located in a conservation zone, so there is no risk of the removal of vegetation because it's going to be, you could put it in the local centre. You could put a cafe, restaurant, you can even put a tavern in there if you applied for a liquor licence, and that's a more appropriate location for it, in my opinion, closer to the road, closer to actually to Dunsborough Lakes as well, so that those residents across the road could also access it, rather in that back corner. And I know that there is a commitment that there will be no additional removal of vegetation, but how many times have we heard that in the past from a developer? and it's all good and it all gets approved, then, oh, whoops, we've just taken out a few big trees because we needed to put in some additional drainage or an additional road, or oh, we just had to make the site a bit bigger. So from my point of view, if we just take it out of the conservation zone, and it's an ex-use in a conservation zone, so it doesn't comply with the town planning schemes, and that sets a very dangerous precedent, councillors, if we start saying it's okay there, but it's not okay there. In the future, when we really need someone to comply with this, they'll say, well, there was a precedent set by Lot 6 and they were allowed to have that in a conservation zone. So if we've got an even more valuable conservation zone, it's going to be very difficult to argue. So for me, it's safer to put it in the local centre, which we've already have land in that development set aside for that purpose. So therefore, we can connect our communities and do all of that. Also, the noise issues, like putting it down in that back southeast corner, you've got lots of R20, R30 houses in very close proximity to it. Whereas if it's over further in the local centre, closer to the road, the noise impacts aren't going to be as great. So you're in a rural location, people buy these lots because it's nice, it's quiet, it's rural, and then you've got a noisy cafe and restaurant right down in the conservation zone where there's public open space, blah, blah, blah. I think that's going to be problematic, actually. I think that could come back to bite us. So I think we have to be very cognisant of that. You know, Southwest Bodega, yep, great place. It's quite isolated. It's on a big lot and it's surrounded by lots of other semi-rural properties. So this is going right where there's lots and lots of urban density. So I think it could be a completely different situation. No clearing, I've covered that. And to be honest, just to sum up what Councillor Kennedy said, I'm not scared of the WAPC. The WAPC don't intimidate me. To be honest, I would much rather represent what the community want as opposed to what the WAPC may or may not approve. And at the worst case scenario is we put forward the additional modifications, the WAPC say no, we revert back to what the officers have put forward. So I would rather push the boundaries because I've read the submissions, I've read what the people want. I'm pretty sure that the southern lot owner is happy with further modification than what she's already getting because it's going to actually improve her amenity. And I know because I've been to that lot as well and I've spoken to her, so I don't think that the Lot 7 owner is going to disagree with any further modification. So that concludes my rebuttal. Please consider my rebuttal and support my alternative. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cox. Therefore, I put the motion, the substantive motion that is in front of you. All those in favour? That's Mayor Cronin, Councillor Craig, Councillor Love and Councillor Cox. All those against? That's Councillor Kennedy. Oh dear. Councillor Ryan, Councillor Lee and Councillor McNeish. So we are at 4-4. I know I can't speak for my reasoning, but I'm going to vote with it. So carried 5-4. Thank you, councillors. Moving on to item 12.2. And this is, we have an alternate, so this motion will go first, but we have an alternate from an amendment. Are we going to, how do you want to do this? So we'll just put the amendment in first. So we'll move the motion and then, yeah, I'll get it on the table first. So do I have a mover? Councillor McNeish. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Lee. You may speak to your motion, or this motion.
In moving the motion...
Officer recommendation.
In moving the motion, I want to move an amendment.
Okay.
So I'll move the motion as written.
Yep.
With an amendment.
Sure.
As now on the screen. Let councillors read that.
Councillors all read that? Thank you. Do I have a seconder for that? Sorry, Councillor Lee. Is there any opposition? Sorry, no opposition. Therefore, I put the amendment. Yeah, sorry. Oh, you wish to speak? Sorry.
No, just that I accept the amendment as a seconder for that.
Sure, thank you. Is there opposition? Yeah. So being no opposition, I put the motion. All those in favour of this amendment? That is carried 8-0. Councillor McNeish, you may continue to speak to your motion.
Move the substantive motion,
Substantive,
points
correct.
1 and 2, and commend, I haven't been here, but whoever was moved to take this to the committee and bring this forward, well done, very well done. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Lee?
Thank you. I'm happy to support it as it is.
Sure, thank you. Is there any opposition? Being no opposition, your rebuttal? Thank you. Therefore, I put the motion. All those in favour, the motion is carried 8-0. Thank you very much. We now move on to item 14.1, which is the saltwater project learnings. This is a foreshadowed alternate by Councillor Anne Ryan. Councillor Ryan, do you wish to put your motion, move your motion?
As put.
Thank you very much. Do I have a seconder? Councillor McNeish. Is there opposition? There being opposition, and Councillor Ryan, would you like to speak to your motion?
Thank you. Councillors, our biggest stakeholder, the ratepayers, just keep paying and paying, yet no update, no information on why they keep paying and paying. Nothing's been provided to them. The federal government contribution was 10.35 million, with a few minor grants and land asset sales. The cost is now significantly higher. Surely the ratepayers have some skin in the game. The original resolution to go ahead with this project was 24th of November 2021. Practical completion was originally December 23, and the doors were supposed to open in February 24. Here we are today, September 25. We are now some 4 years into the project with still no certainty. The community demands to know what is going on, and can you blame them? Further, in June 2023 was the original extension date for the condition of the 10.35 million for the federal government funding. Where are we at with that now? What report have the feds been given, and what have they responded with? Interim reports offer a window into the project's progress, fostering a sense of accountability. We, local governments, are supposed to be open, honest and accountable. It's our mantra. Yet we have kept our ratepayers, once again, the biggest funder and stakeholder, in the dark for years. In relation to risk management, the staff comment was there would be reputational damage handing back the 10.35 million, and there was an opportunity loss. But there was never any risk associated with the escalation of costs and the 62% of respondents who said they didn't want it. There has never been any risk associated with this project higher than average or medium. This is an absolute nonsense. I am sure that staff who have been working on the project for the last 4 years could knock up an interim report in a heartbeat to offer some comfort to ratepayers. We are in this project up to our neck. Surely they deserve some justification in the near future, not 6 months after opening. This could be 5 years' time. Surely this type of project is a lesson in what not to do in the future, not only for this council and city, but that of all councils. We have been told time and again the opening date is X, but to no avail. Councillors, I urge you to support this motion.
Thank you, Councillor Ryan. Councillor McNeish.
Thanks, sir. 9 months ago, the council resolved to expect this report on the learning of the project now. So it was not it was a change of mindset resolution. It was not one to be reflective or a review for, gee, what could we have done differently 2.5 years ago? It was to be noting the issues as you went along and learning from that on the project, and by informing the council and thereby informing the public and thereby informing other capital projects that we're looking to project manage, in fact, now, you know. This was the design of that, I think it was a notice of motion by myself, for a continual learning mindset. I've just been fortunate enough to be on a trip. Most people, well, a lot of people, perhaps some people, keep a travel diary because so much happens in every day. They experience so many things and so many opportunities and so many observations. But after 6 weeks, someone said, "How was your trip?" And you go, "Oh, it's exhausting. Gee, I better get on with one." And then by the time I look back, I'll write you a page on the trip, picking out 4 or 5 highlights and a couple of negatives, when there was probably 50 or 100 or at least something every single day. So that was the mindset I was trying to inject by getting the council to accept this nom. Fortunately, it did, and it had a reasonable, rightful expectation of a report today, and it hasn't been the case. So I certainly support some interim findings within the time frame that's been proposed. Thank you.
Speaker against? Councillor Cox.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I think that providing a report before the project is finished, I understand that the community want answers. I don't think they're going to get them if a report's produced at this point, because I think there's still going to be a lot of things. It's going to mean the report is still incomplete, and the answers to the questions that the community want will still be under commercial confidentiality. I still don't think that I think that they'll read an interim report, they'll still be equally frustrated, and they will still be demanding more information. And I concur with what the staff have said in their comment, that it risks doing a report now risks producing insights that are incomplete, speculative or disconnected from the final outcome. Key elements such as final budget reconciliation, stakeholder satisfaction, post-implementation performance and internal process evaluation can only be meaningfully assessed once the project has concluded. And I think you can only provide those answers for the community once the project has concluded. To divert resources to prepare a detailed learning report at this stage may also compromise the project team's ability to manage project delivery and the venue opening, which we are all anxious to achieve. The current focus must remain on ensuring successful completion, after which the City can provide a comprehensive report to the community on the learnings, and the community will get the answers that they want. But I think if you do it at this point, I think it's just going to make them more frustrated, to be fair. I think if you wait until it's completed, and then there can be a complete reflection with the budget reconciliation and everything else that people want to know, I think that that's a much better use of staff resources and time.
Thank you. Speaker for? Speaker against?
Against.
Against?
Against is foreshadowed.
Sure.
Sorry. I'm going to reiterate some of what Councillor Cox said. I support the officer's recommendation and respectfully do not support Councillor Ryan's foreshadowed alternative. While I understand the intent behind it, I believe our focus must remain firmly on completing the saltwater project. This project has already faced delays due to COVID, supply issues, rising costs, contractor shortage, as well as significant public attention. The community, by and large, just wants to see it finished and operational. Requesting an interim report at this stage risks diverting staff time and resources away from what really matters right now, delivering the project and getting it open. A comprehensive report is already planned post-opening, and new councillors will be brought up to speed through induction processes. There is also a full project history being finalised for public release. Let's stay focused on getting saltwater delivered. Then we can take stock, report and reflect properly with a full picture in hand. So I will not be supporting this motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Speaker for?
Can I move a procedural motion?
You may.
That the motion now be put?
Okay. Do I have a seconder for that? Seconded? Is there a... Sorry, you've already... spoken. Somebody who hasn't spoken? I'll second it. Sure. I'll put that to the vote then. All those in favour? To put the motion?
Of the foreshadow alternative.
Yeah, so we're just putting the motion. Sorry, we're voting for the procedural. Do you wish to put the motion? So that's what we're currently voting on. All those in favour to put the motion? All those in favour? So that's 4 against. I'll vote against it then. So we'll carry on. So, okay. Do I have a speaker? Speaker 4, Councillor Lee.
Thank you. At some point, the questions from the public need to be answered. I fully accept that a comprehensive report cannot be completed until the project is finalised. However, when a project such as this, the largest ever construction value in this district, that the ratepayers are the stakeholders for, because they're the ones who are paying for it now and into the future, need some answers. This project was supposed to be a 2-year project. It's now double that. So 4 years, and the community haven't got the answers that they're looking for. I'm pretty sure most people in the community will accept that a comprehensive report can't be done until the project is completed. And I do acknowledge what the officers' comments are about them wanting to just complete the project. However, this is a massive spend in our district, which was already controversial from the start. I see that it's our responsibility to provide some answers to the community, and we hear it every council meeting when we have members of the public coming to ask questions. And they're not just asking the questions themselves, they're also in the community. They're also talking to people. So I think it's imperative that we recognise that this is our residents and ratepayers that are paying for this now and in perpetuity. We know that there are issues with the build. We know that there are issues, but we need to be providing at least some answers to the community. And the officers will know what information can be provided and what is confidential in confidence, so that they will be able to disseminate that information. I have that much faith in the officers that they will be able to do that and satisfy some of the answers that the community are looking for. This project has been fraught with danger right from the start. The community need answers.
Speaker against? I'll rise to speak against, only that listening to the debate, it sounds as though what we need is a communication out to the community to update them if we haven't been able to do that properly. So I will be more than happy to speak to the CEO about any comms that we can get out to explain what we can. Looking back at the original motion, which was C2412/364, this was really put with the intention that once the building had been built and we were running it, then that was the learnings. Unfortunately, yes, there have been some delays. I think the public will be well aware of any projects out there that there are many, many delays in these type of buildings. And unfortunately, we find ourselves in the situation. But I think anything that we give out half-heartedly, that has redacted because of commercial inconfidence or adds further risk to us as a council, and therefore to the community in costs, I would strongly say that this motion, as in its original officer recommendation, is purely to defer until we reach that same milestone that we were looking at when this was put forward back in the 11th December 24. So I speak really to say I think we should go with the officer's recommendation, and I would recommend that councillors vote that way. Thank you. Speaker 4. Speaker against?
No, I was speaking for.
Sure.
This one was a hard one for me to decide, but having listened to debate just then, I do share very many common concerns that the Mayor, Councillor Cox and Councillor Cake has raised about the fact that this isn't completed. We won't have complete information to give out to the community. But like Councillor Lee has raised in her debate quite eloquently, is we have not been able to provide very much, if little, if at all, information to our community, given the commercial confidence nature of the contract. However, I do believe we know that our community is wanting answers, and we know that there's not a lot of answers that we can give to them, given the constraints of the contract. But our public question time is fraught with questions about saltwater. What's going on? Where's the project at? That I do really believe that it is of benefit to provide this to the community. I understand that it wouldn't be complete, and I know that comments were made that it would be half-hearted, but the officers that will put together an interim report, I'm sure will make sure that it will be sufficient to at least bide our community over until the project is completed. Like Councillor Lee has made point of in her debate, it was a very controversial decision and topic within the community, and I do believe that we do need to provide some sort of answers towards our community. I know it makes it very hard when we've got the contract requirements and everything like that, but if we can put together at least something to provide to them, I do believe that aligns with being transparent and accountable to our community. And that's why I will be supporting Councillor Ryan's alternative motion.
Sure. I think we've exhausted everyone. So, Councillor Ryan, you're right to reply.
Oh, yes, thank you. Mayor, I don't read into this motion anything about the project being complete. I think the analogy that Councillor McNish used about a travel diary is a perfect analogy for the process that we've gone through on this project and how we should never do this kind of thing again. I also note that the motion states, if and where the learning is deemed of a confidential nature by the CEO, then the CEO is to bring that part of the report separately so as not to compromise the needed transparency of the balance of the learning, which means that the reason why we can't go to the public and tell them all the things that we'd love to, and I know the former CEO said, you know, he can't wait for it to be finished so he can go and tell the world. They're the things that we need to keep confidential because we know we've got a possible litigious builder. And so we need to be very mindful of it. But there is nothing wrong with explaining to the community, and I see Mr. Sens in the audience, and I'd love to not see him in the audience. We are like a board of directors, and those guys are the shareholders. They are the shareholders. We have a duty of care to our shareholders. No wonder they are peed off with us. I'm sure that our acting CEO is very capable of putting together a report, and he probably won't write it, but I'm sure he's got the power to ensure that it's just somebody else do it. With respect to Councillor Cake, this report will delay nothing. It won't. It'll just give some clear evidence to people of why we're in this situation. And I think it's abrogating a responsibility if we don't let the community know now. It's a great opportunity. And the other thing that I think is, if the resolution, it was resolved. We said we were going to do it and we gave it a time frame. And it's disappointing now that that time frame was wanting to be pushed out to when? When? We don't know. So to have a part report now would actually be easier in the end, because we'll all have learnings of what should and shouldn't happen. And then the other issue is when the new councillors come on board, and I'm sure this will give our interim CEO an opportunity of looking at things with fresh eyes as well, as he said today. So, councillors, I urge you to vote for this. I think the community deserves it. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you very much. Therefore, I put the motion before. All those in favour? That's Councillor Mayor Cronin, Councillor Anne Ryan, Councillor Jodie Lee, Councillor Val Kay, Councillor McNeish, Councillor Love. Those against? Councillor Kate Cox and Councillor Jared Kennedy. The motion is carried 6-2. Next item. We have item 17.1 is the urban water management. Councillor Anne Ryan. 17, that's right, 17.1. Councillor Ryan.
So the motion as put, and I will be asking for the seconder to accept some amendments.
Sure, thank you. Do I have a seconder? Seconder, Councillor Lee.
Point of clarification.
Sure.
The officers made a comment as to the new part of this, and we read the proposed new part.
Yes.
But we did not get a verbal comment from the officers.
In the email they did, not verbally.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay, but we have a live audience.
Okay.
So would it be possible to have a summary of that comment pursuant to this new thing before we discuss it?
Yeah, I will allow that.
Thank you.
I have spoken to Brett, Mr. Reynolds, but Mr. Reynolds, Acting Director.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, obviously my officers have stepped out of the room, my engineers, but I'll be able to cover this very briefly. Yeah, ultimately the city officers have already been working on the section 6 of the technical specifications. So we have been, that's already been peer reviewed, and our aim is to have that done towards the end of the year, and then presented back to council for adoption in sort of January, February. So yeah, that's where we're aiming at this time. Yeah.
So happy with this?
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. So I will ask for opposition so that we can put this motion, so I'll oppose it so that you can speak. Councillor Ryan.
So this is not the motion, there's an
Yes,
amendment to it.
otherwise
so
if we had no opposition, I'd just put the motion. So,
can we have the amendment up on the screen, please?
The amendment that was up on screen earlier? Okay, so consent to the seconder to make the amendment. Thank you very much. Sorry.
Through the chair.
Yes, I consent.
Can I just qualify that you are seeking an alteration to your motion with the consent of the seconder, not an amendment process? Is that correct, Councillor Ryan?
Well, I'm not sure. I need to be guided.
Which, do we put this as an alternate? So yeah, probably.
Councillor Ryan, if you would like Councillor Lee's consent to alter your notice of motion to the wording that's on the screen, is that what you're seeking?
Councillor Lee has agreed.
Councillor Lee? That is now the motion.
So we now have the. Do we need to vote on this now? It's just, no, it's been approved. So this is now the substantive motion, just so clarity for councillors. The substantive motion is what you are reading in front of you right now. Thank you. Councillor Lee, do you wish to speak? Councillor Ryan, do you wish to speak to this?
Is there any opposition?
Well, there was because it was me, but officially.
Now it's
It's a new notice of motion.
Yeah.
So is there any opposition?
Is there any opposition to this? Being no opposition, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Motion's carried 8-0. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Lee, for clarity. Okay, we have no urgent business, no confidential items. Therefore, the next ordinary council meeting will be Wednesday, the 8th of October 2025, and I now declare this meeting closed at 19:18. Thank you very much for your attendance, Mr. CEO, directors and staff members.